And seeing you with the drink, I'm going to get a drink. Jennifer, could we hold off for a couple of secs until John Moss comes, assuming he comes on shortly?
Yeah, of course. We don't
Yeah,
have to, we're
it'll
live
just-
on YouTube, but we don't have to actually start the meeting until he shows up.
Oh, okay, fine. He's usually pretty prompt, so I think we should get him. You know, if he doesn't show for a couple of minutes, then we'll start anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna start. Are you ready, Chairman?
I'm good and ready.
Okay, you can start.
Okay, do you want to let the applicant in? Or
I just opened it up. I'm gonna wait to see who joins.
it's probably Mr. Seacon, Stephen Seacon, or it could be Amy Jo Neal.
I have both of them. I just put them both on.
Hello, this is Steve.
Hello, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I unmuted too.
Okay, thank you. Is my camera on?
No,
No, not yet. Now you are.
Okay, good.
Well, John's not here, but why don't we start? Good evening, everyone. This is the zoning board.
John's here, Peter, just, yeah. I don't know if he's in a box, but I see him.
Oh, you do see John?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. This is the zoning board of appeals for November 18th. We've got a short agenda today. It's just an application on 21 Riverside Place. I move to open the public hearing. Do I have a second? I got Paul as a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's we got 3 ayes, and possibly John. I couldn't tell. So who will be heard on this application? And I should say that this is for a rear yard deck, a required front yard setback, and a required parking spot.
Correct. My name is Steve Seacon. I'm the architect for the applicant, Amy Jo Neal, who's at 21 Riverside. And I just don't know if you had an opportunity to go by the site, but I'd like to offer a little bit of background to the project.
Yep.
So there's 2 basic factors that are driving this project. One, unfortunately, the rear deck is in very bad repair. And 2, the owner who's lived there for approximately 50 years wants to change the use of the house from single family with in-law accessory to 2-family house. And in doing this, the project basically has 3 components. One, as you alluded to earlier, is replacing and enlarging the rear deck, creating the second dwelling unit in the basement, and also creating the additional off-street parking at the front. So given that this is a slightly irregular shape for the property and fairly shallow by most standards in the area, some of these encroachments already occur, as you could see from the site plan. The current house has a rear addition that contains a kitchen, which is already non-conforming, as well as a non-conforming deck. And part of what's driving this in the creation of a second dwelling unit is basically that the patio, which is about 8 feet lower than the first floor, will really be the outdoor recreational space for the new tenant. The rear deck is really going to be, in effect, the outdoor recreational space for Amy Jo and her daughter. So it's being enlarged approximately 6 feet further to the south in order to accommodate the things that you do on a deck: dining, relaxing, maybe a little grilling, some entertaining. And what we went through, was a period of different iterations and different schemes. And we felt that this was the most modest and, sensitive in terms of already being non-conforming, so that it accommodated the scope, but didn't really impinge on the neighbors. And I know Amy Jo had gotten 2 letters of support from adjacent neighbors. So, this is, I think, fairly well received, in that street. Basically people live different than they did, 50 years ago. And, some of the needs, have changed over time. And that's partly what's driving this project. And I think, in looking at the balancing points that are typically reviewed, there will not be an undesirable change to the neighborhood or detriment to the adjacent property owners. If anything, the Neal family's investment in the street is long-term and should benefit everybody. Was this achievable by other means or alternatives? We investigated several that were larger and more awkward, and we came to this solution, after quite a few schemes in different months. Will there be an adverse impact on the environment or physical nature of the neighborhood? We anticipate that this, should take basically 2 months to build. Is the variance substantial? Only really through the lens that it already is so non-conforming already would one consider this, I think, substantial. And is the hardship self-created in as much as she wants to continue living there with her daughter, and the needs have changed for the house and the family. So we feel that we've arrived at a fairly rational solution, and would welcome any kind of feedback that you might have.
We haven't seen the letters of support. Which houses are they from?
Amy Jo, you're on mute.
It's 35 and 35 Riverside, and the one directly adjacent to me on the west side. I have to look. It's the Kendalls live there. Let me look at the number. It's the house between 21 and 35, and then number 35. Here, I think I can find it pretty quickly.
I think immediately adjacent to you is 19. Is that right?
No, that's on the east side. It's
You're
the
talking
west
about
side.
across the street.
No, it's on the same side of the street.
Okay.
Hold
down the street.
on.
Oh, the same building.
Yeah, 19 and 21 share a common wall. So,
Right.
let me just find the house, apartment, renovations. Kendall letter here. 31, so 31 and 35.
Okay.
Okay. And Dan, has there been any, do we have letters of, do we know that letters went out to everyone? I would assume the people on Riverside Place were
Yes.
notified.
They were all noticed, correct.
Any communication from them?
We did receive the 2 letters today.
Oh, of support?
Yes.
And are any neighbors wanting to speak at this meeting? Jennifer?
No, there's no one else here.
Anyone else? Okay.
So can I just say a few short words? So, Steve, I think you said, I lived here for 50 years. I haven't exactly. My family has lived here for 50 years. I actually grew up in this house and then moved away for many years. I moved back in 2000. My mother had, in 1985, had put the addition of the kitchen and the deck that's existing now that I guess required a variance at the time. And then in 2000, I think it was around 2004, I built the mother-in-law apartment in the basement. So it's like a studio mother-in-law apartment, 1 room kind of thing. That exists now. I mean, I'm not sure whether we're really addressing the 2-family issue in this meeting, but I'm not enlarging that unit in any way. I'm just adding an egress.
Dan, typically we don't decide on making one families, 2 families.
Correct.
Um,
We're going before the planning board in a couple of weeks.
And so that's not on the table in front of us now, but the question is about parking. And if you're going to go to 2-family, there needs to be, I'm a little confused on that. I guess it's only 1 additional parking space because it's a studio. Is that correct?
No, it would be 2 spaces and for both apartments, but 1 apartment already it's a non-conforming, so that stays like that. So they're asking for a variance for 1 space.
So
But
just-
they need 3 total, I guess is what I'm saying. They need
Correct.
3 total and they have 1. They're going to provide another 1 and they need a 3rd one. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right, and as I understand it, you're an MDR1 zone, so because you're an MDR1 zone, a 2-family is permissible, and so there's no need for a use variance.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Is that correct, Dan?
yes. You could give a variance for the parking, or planning can issue a waiver for the park, and it could go to either board.
Right, because we're only hoping to add 1 space and then get, permission in some way to only have the 2.
I want to come back, I think, to John's question about parking. I just want to understand, looking at the neighbors, which neighbor are you saying? Is it you're immediately the one that you share the common wall that has given a letter?
No, that's number 19. Number 31, and on the west, adjacent to me on the west side toward the river, and
Mhm.
number 35.
Right, but 19 has not responded, but they were given notice.
No, they just had a baby and they have a 2-year-old. So I've shared with them the plans. They've raised no objections to me, but I didn't press them. They literally just had a baby like 2 weeks ago.
Then they were given notice. We have a card indicating they were given notice, all right?
Oh, yeah.
They were noticed, they're on the mailing list, definitely.
John, I don't know if you want to go back to your parking question or,
No, I just wanted clarity with respect to the, like, how many spaces were needed in order to make it conforming. But I have that answer, so I'm good.
Yeah, could I maybe just try to clear that up again with Dan? Dan, are you saying that the accessory apartment that they're trying to convert to a, I guess, a single family or to a new dwelling unit, that needs how many spots?
That would need the 2 spots.
Okay, and the existing house really needs 2, but it's not being modified, so it's only providing 1.
Correct. That was, what was that, existing non-conforming.
Existing non-conforming.
Yeah, I mean, the reason for my question really had to do with the wording of the statement, I think, which was for 1 and 2 families, 2 spots per dwelling unit is required. So if we have 2 dwelling units, we should have 2 spots per dwelling. And I think you're saying, no, we only need 1 spot for the studio because it's a smaller unit. That's the clarification I was looking for. That's all.
Oh, no, it's not because it's a smaller unit.
Okay, then
It's because the original that has 1 spot needs 2 spots, doesn't need it because it's grandfathered as part of this application.
that's there. Thank you.
That's the wrong terminology, but
I appreciate that. Yep. Got it.
No, well, wait, I'm sorry, now I'm confused. Are you, the studio, the second unit that I'm essentially adding, making a legal, unit in a separate unit, requires 2 spaces.
yes.
Okay. Regardless of the size of that unit.
Regardless.
I'm
Yeah.
only on the plans, I'm showing 1 unit, 1 space for that unit. And I'm asking what, Steve?
You're asking relief for the second parking space.
Okay. And who am I asking tonight or the planning board?
It can be either board that grants relief.
Okay.
yeah, right now you're asking us.
Oh, so what do you
It's
say?
It's part of the application.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Got it. Thank you.
I'm not sure where to go with this. So let me just speak out loud a little bit to the other board members. I guess I feel a little uncomfortable with making a decision on the adding an additional family unit here, approving that, and the parking space, because that's really the main purview of the planning board. I feel like we could address the deck but that might be better addressed after those other issues have been addressed. I only say that because this is a small piece of property. The house on Riverside Drive behind you is being encroached on a great deal. The rear yard setback is supposed to be 25 feet. It's already being encroached on, and you want to encroach on it. You want to put the deck 8 feet from the rear yard, and that's really, really close. That's going to be an active entertainment area for the main house, according to what you say here. And to me, being so close to neighbors that are above you where it can't really be blocked by the fence, or a fence that would have to be a lot taller than is allowed, seems problematic to me. So I don't know how other guys on the board feel, but those are my initial reactions.
I will echo your concern, Peter. My concern is not the front yard setback, it's the rear yard setback. I think that is a significant variance that you're asking for, which is self-created. And it may all be moot. I wouldn't want to go there unless the planning board first makes a determination. They have the right to grant the variance in the parking, but I think it would be wisest to allow it to go to them first with regard to the 1 versus 2, and then revisit the plan, depending on what their comments may be.
I agree with Peter and Paul.
Yeah, I would support that direction.
Is there anything else you guys would like to tell us?
Well, we could certainly, offer up, some additional planting, some screening, from the rear deck to make it, feel a little bit more private, so that it doesn't impinge on the neighbors. Whether it's planting or some screening or maybe some lattice, at the back of the deck to make it feel, a little more private without, walling everybody off.
Are you're referring to the impingement on 19 Riverside Place?
No. What's
You're referring, because you said Riverside Drive. Are you talking about Chestnut?
Yes, I guess it's Chestnut.
Oh, okay. So the only thing I can offer is that the house that house adjacent to me, behind me like that, is not, it's not really above me. It's sort of at the same level.
Elevation, yeah.
It's not really above me. And they're already, I mean, I could certainly do plantings, but there already are quite a substantial amount of plantings and foliage and trees in between our two houses already, that especially in the spring, summer, and fall offer a lot of coverage for both of us.
We could provide aerial photographs, from satellite imagery, if that helps.
Well, maybe drawings, because, when you go by now and you look up the
Yeah.
side of the house into the backyard and to Rivers, to Chestnut,
Yeah,
you don't see much except the house on Chestnut.
right.
I did not go in your backyard, but,
Yeah, I understand.
that's that's an important concern that I have. And
Right. If
I would
they
say
gave a
that-
letter of support, would that make a big difference?
it would make a difference. It may not make a big difference, in that we're approving things for the property. We're not approving things for the resident.
Individual, I understand. Thank you.
So it really has to be something, again, so local support would be helpful.
Yeah, I understand.
But it's not determinative.
Okay,
We still have to look at things, and I guess I would ask your architect, Mr. Seacon, to look at things, and to the extent that he can creatively give you the space that you need without encroaching as much, that would show an effort, a good faith effort to work with the situation, if you will.
right. And are we talking about the the additional, like, I think 6 feet. I mean, because the deck already, I guess, you know,
It's already legally too close. But
right, but
it
it's
is-
been
it is-
approved, right? It's
Yes,
been
yes, it
approved
is.
for many, many years. Okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but once you change it, it requires further approval, so you're expanding it even further.
Yeah, no, I know, I am. But
But-
let's say, let's say, and maybe
Should be
Steve
building.
can answer this, but let's say I was just wanting to rebuild the exact same deck. Would that require approval? No, okay,
No, that would require a building permit, that's all.
okay,
Right.
got it.
But
It's
not,
the fact
not,
that
not any board approval.
Okay, it's the fact that I'm adding,
Yes, you're
Got it,
further
okay.
encroaching on the,
okay, thank you.
on the guidelines.
Mhm, I understand.
Okay. So we will continue our hearing, as we call it, which means we will leave it open.
Yeah,
And have you go to the planning board to deal with, the first 2 issues, and then we can deal with the deck after there's a resolution there.
Okay,
Okay, good luck to you.
all right, thank you.
all right, thank you.
So what do we move to adjourn? How do we technically do this? I always get it wrong.
Would you make a motion to continue it?
I move to continue. Second. And all in favor? And we've got 4 ayes. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jennifer. Dan?
Thank you all. Take care.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night.
Thank you. Have a good night.